In the heart of Washington, D.C., amidst the sprawling federal bureaucracy, a new agency has emerged, one shrouded in controversy and fueled by the ambition of Silicon Valley. This is the Department of Government Efficiency, better known as DOGE. Created by an executive order from President Donald Trump in his second term, DOGE was initially met with skepticism and confusion. Its stated mission to streamline government operations, eliminate waste, and usher in a new era of efficiency within the often criticized federal apparatus. Critics, however, viewed DOGE as a Trojan horse, a thinly veiled attempt to dismantle public services and undermine the role of government. They pointed to the agency's broad mandate and lack of congressional oversight as cause for concern. Adding fuel to the fire was the appointment of Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur behind Tesla and SpaceX, as DOGE's first director. Musk, known for his disruptive innovation and brash management style, promised to bring a Silicon Valley ethos to the staid halls of government. His involvement, however, raised eyebrows and ignited a firestorm of debate. Was Musk the right person to overhaul the federal government, or was DOGE under his leadership a recipe for disaster? Elon Musk's appointment as the head of DOGE sent shockwaves through Washington, D.C. Here was a man who had made his fortune by upending established industries, electric cars, space exploration, even social media, now tasked with reforming the very institution he had often criticized. Musk, never one to shy away from a challenge, embraced his new role with characteristic zeal. He promised to apply his technological prowess and business acumen to the ossified bureaucracy of the federal government. His vision for DOGE was ambitious, to say the least. He spoke of leveraging artificial intelligence, automating government processes, and drastically reducing the federal workforce. To his supporters, Musk represented a much-needed breath of fresh air, a visionary leader who could finally drag the government into the 21st century. Detractors, however, viewed his plans as reckless and potentially dangerous. They feared that Musk's brand of disruption would prioritize efficiency over effectiveness, potentially undermining vital public services and eroding democratic norms. The tension surrounding DOGE and its enigmatic leader finally boiled over in February 2025, when a coalition of 14 states, all led by Democratic governors, filed a lawsuit against the agency and Elon Musk. The lawsuit, filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, alleged that DOGE, under Musk's direction, was operating outside its legal authority and engaging in a pattern of reckless and potentially unlawful conduct. At the heart of the lawsuit were concerns about DOGE's increasingly aggressive efforts to access sensitive data from various federal agencies. The states argued that DOGE, lacking proper congressional oversight and operating under a veil of secrecy, posed a significant risk to privacy and civil liberties. Furthermore, the lawsuit challenged the legality of DOGE's involvement in federal layoffs, claiming that the agency was exceeding its mandate and operating without transparency or accountability. The lawsuit against DOGE and Elon Musk landed on the desk of Judge Tanya Chutkan, a respected jurist known for her sharp intellect and unwavering commitment to the rule of law. Judge Chutkan, nominated to the bench by President Barack Obama, had previously presided over several high-profile cases, earning a reputation for fairness and a meticulous approach to the law. The states, in their lawsuit, sought a preliminary injunction, a legal maneuver that would temporarily block DOGE from accessing federal data and conducting layoffs until the case could be heard in full. In a decision that reverberated through legal circles and sent ripples across the political landscape, Judge Chutkan denied the state's request for a preliminary injunction. Her ruling, however, was not a vindication of DOGE or Elon Musk. In her written opinion, Judge Chutkan acknowledged the seriousness of the allegations leveled against the agency and its director. She expressed concerns about DOGE's broad authority and lack of transparency, noting that the agency's actions raised legitimate questions about the separation of powers and the potential for executive overreach. However, Judge Chutkan ultimately ruled that the states had not met the high legal bar required for a preliminary injunction. She concluded that while the states had presented compelling arguments, they had not demonstrated that immediate and irreparable harm would result if DOGE's actions were allowed to continue while the case proceeded through the courts. Section 5. Inside DOGE's playbook, data, layoffs, and the specter of privatization. While Judge Chutkan's ruling provided a temporary reprieve for Doge, it did little to quell the controversy surrounding the agency. Critics continued to raise alarm bells about Doge's modus operandi, particularly its focus on data collection and its aggressive approach to reducing the federal workforce. Under Musk's leadership, Doge had embarked on an unprecedented data-gathering campaign, demanding access to vast troves of information from various federal agencies. This data grab, critics argued, went far beyond the agency's stated mission of improving efficiency. They feared that Doge was amassing this data for more nefarious purposes, such as identifying targets for privatization or building a vast surveillance apparatus. Adding to these concerns were reports of Doge's close ties to private technology companies, raising fears that sensitive government data could end up in the hands of private corporations. Section 6. A divided America reacts, from outrage to applause. The lawsuit against Doge and Elon Musk, combined with the agency's increasingly controversial actions, ignited a firestorm of debate across the United States. The nation, already sharply divided along political lines, found itself embroiled in yet another contentious issue. On one side of the divide stood those who viewed Doge and Musk's leadership as a long-overdue shakeup of a bloated and inefficient bureaucracy. They applauded Musk's willingness to challenge the status quo and embraced his promises of a leaner, more technologically advanced government. On the other side stood those who viewed Doge with deep suspicion, seeing it as a Trojan horse for privatization, deregulation, and the erosion of public services. They expressed alarm about the agency's lack of transparency and accountability, and they feared that Musk's brand of disruptive innovation would have disastrous consequences for the very fabric of American governance. Section 7. Experts weigh in, legal and ethical concerns mount. As the controversy surrounding Doge raged on, legal scholars, policy experts, and government watchdogs weighed in, offering their perspectives on the agency's actions and the potential implications of its activities. Many legal experts expressed concerns about the broad authority granted to Doge, arguing that its lack of congressional oversight and its unorthodox leadership structure raised serious questions about its constitutionality. They warned that Doge's actions could set a dangerous precedent, potentially undermining the separation of powers and giving future presidents unchecked authority to reshape the federal government. Policy experts, meanwhile, debated the potential consequences of Doge's focus on data collection and workforce reduction. Some argued that the agency's efforts, while controversial, could lead to long overdue improvements in government efficiency and cost savings. Others, however, warned that Doge's approach was short-sighted and potentially harmful, arguing that it could lead to the loss of valuable expertise within the federal government and undermine the quality of public services. Section 8. The political chessboard, Trump's gambit, and the future of governance. The creation of Doge and the ensuing controversy cannot be divorced from the broader political context in which they unfolded. Doge was, after all, the brainchild of President Donald Trump, a figure who had built his political career on challenging norms, upending institutions, and polarizing the American public. Trump, who had long railed against the deep state and promised to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C., saw Doge as a tool to achieve his vision of a smaller, less intrusive federal government. The appointment of Elon Musk, a fellow iconoclast with a penchant for disruption, only served to amplify the political stakes. Trump's critics viewed Doge as a power grab, an attempt to consolidate authority and undermine democratic norms. They argued that Trump, through Doge, was attempting to dismantle the administrative state and impose his will on the federal bureaucracy. Section 9. The road ahead. Uncertain future for Doge and federal workforce. As the dust settled on Judge Chutkan's ruling, the future of Doge and its impact on the federal workforce remained shrouded in uncertainty. The lawsuit filed by the 14 states, though dealt a temporary setback, was far from over. The case seemed destined to drag on, potentially reaching the Supreme Court and setting a landmark precedent for the balance of power between the executive and legislative branches. Meanwhile, Doge, under Elon Musk's leadership, continued its work, albeit with a renewed focus on public relations and an awareness of the legal challenges ahead. Musk, never one to back down from a fight, seemed energized by the opposition, framing Doge's mission as a noble crusade against bureaucratic inertia and government waste. The future of DOGE, however, remained inextricably linked to the political winds in Washington. With a new presidential election on the horizon, the fate of the agency and its controversial mandate hung in the balance.